Welcome back to Peer-Guided DBT Lessons, provided by DBT Skills Application, Peers Helping Peers. This week's lesson, marked 3-11 in our Emotion Regulation module, we'll be looking at problem solving. Please keep in mind that we're simply peers helping peers, working together to bring about more peaceful, constructive, and ultimately happier lives. In other words, a life worth living. Problem solving is used when emotions do fit the facts. So ask yourself these questions. Does the emotion fit the circumstances? Does the intensity of the emotion fit the situation? Is the emotion a response to a current event? Is the emotion unclouded by added distortions? Was the emotion triggered by verifiable facts? Is it a fact? Then it's time to look for a solution. When an emotion is justified by the situation, avoiding or changing the situation may be the best way to change one's emotion. When an unwanted emotion fits the facts are the problem, and you need problem solving. Problem solving as a coping strategy increases the probability of effective coping with a wide range of problematic situations. Problem solving is the first step in changing difficult situations. Problem solving ordinarily requires a conscious and focused effort aimed at developing and applying new solutions to the problems one encounters in everyday life. Before starting problem solving, you have to recognize that there is indeed a problem to be solved. Part of the wisdom inherent in effective problem solving is discerning between solvable and unsolvable problems, and being willing to radically accept and let go of those problems which are truly out of your control. We have here a list of several types of problem situations. Number 1, situations or people that elicit painful emotions or destructive behaviors. Number 2, situations or people that are habitually avoided because they cause painful emotions. Number 3, one-time problem situations. Number 4, repeated problem situations. Number 5, repeated failures to inhibit destructive or ineffective behavior. And number 6, chronic problem situations. Starting with number 1, situations or people that elicit painful emotions or destructive behaviors. Situations or persons that bring out painful emotions or destructive behaviors call for problem solving, even if we do not immediately see what could be done to change a situation or to deal differently with the person. Number 2, situations or people that are habitually avoided because they cause painful emotions. Situations or persons that we tend to avoid because they bring out painful emotions definitely call for problem solving, particularly if our avoidance interferes with getting what we want in life. Number 3, one-time problem situations. One-time problem situations, for example, not having a ride to an important appointment or having an acute illness, call for problem solving. Number 4, repeated problem situations. When problem situations tend to occur over and over, such as repeatedly being misinterpreted by a friend or repeatedly failing important exams, problem solving can break the cycle. Number 5, repeated failures to inhibit destructive or ineffective behavior. A special type of repeated problem situation involves repeatedly failing to keep from engaging in behaviors that are destructive or ineffective. Such behaviors include self-harm, substance abuse, angry outbursts, missing work or therapy, or not doing therapy or school assignments. And number 6, chronic problem situations. Ongoing situations that create continual misery in life, such as living with a partner who is abusive or working in a job you hate, may be considered among one's highest priorities for learning problem-solving skills. We have here some basic steps in problem solving. Step 1. Identify or define the problem. Step 2. Identify your goal in solving the problem. Step 3. Generate possible solutions or options. Step 4. List your strategies. Step 5. Evaluate alternatives. Step 6. Decide on a plan. And step 7, evaluate the outcome. First of all, let's look at step 1. Identify or define the problem. Here you want to mindfully examine what the problem is by observing it, by describing what it is, and looking at it non-judgmentally. Use the mindfulness what skill of describing to give just the facts of the situation. Once you have clearly identified and stated, writing out your current problem, take the time to engage in a bit of problem analysis to help you understand the various dimensions of the problem with greater clarity. Who is involved? What happens? What bothers you? Where does the problem occur? When does it occur? How does it happen? Is there a pattern? Why do you think it happens? What else is important in the situation? How do you respond to the situation? List your behaviors. How does it make you feel? Step 2. Identify your goal in solving the problem. The chart here illustrates problem-solving philosophy. Naturally, the ultimate goal is to reduce painful emotions. The major task for this step is to identify what has to happen for you to feel better. Keep it simple, and keep it something you can achieve. Here we have some goals or desires of problem solving. On the left here we have in the core center what you can control, and the ring outside of that is what you can influence, and outside of that is what is outside of your control. Then we have on the right side the core things that I can control. For example, my words, my actions, my ideas, my play, my effort, my mistakes, and my behavior. And things that are outside of your control, other people's actions, other people's words, other people's play, other people's behavior, other people's ideas, other people's feelings, other people's mistakes. Sometimes radical acceptance is the only solution to a problem. Step 3. Generate possible solutions or options. Come up with as many novel ideas as possible for solving the problem. Solutions can be thought of as one or more actions that lead to the goal. The aim is to generate as many ideas as possible without censoring any ideas that come to mind. Be creative and forget about the quality of the solutions. If you allow yourself to be creative, you may come up with some options that you would not otherwise have thought of. Brainstorming requires an atmosphere of psychological safety. It can take time, but it is important to get every idea that can be thought of down in writing. Some people almost immediately start to evaluate suggestions, analyze the practicality of each solution, or point out problems rather than continuing to generate new ideas. It can be difficult to leave an idea alone and wait until a later time to evaluate it. But this is a necessary condition of brainstorming. Step 4. List your strategies. Now, eliminate the less desirable or unreasonable alternatives only after as many possible solutions have been listed. Then, list the remaining options in order of preference. Choose the top 3 that appear most likely to achieve the desired outcome. Underneath each solution, write as many strategies as you can come up with. Now, what is a strategy? A strategy is simply a method or plan chosen to bring about a desired future, such as achievement of a goal or solution to a problem. Step 5. Evaluate alternatives. Notice which solution has generated the most strategies that appear to have the greatest chances of actually succeeding. After you mindfully evaluate which of the lists contain strategies that seem most effective, likely to bring about the desired outcome, choose the solution that you believe has the greatest chance of bringing success. During the process of narrowing down your list, cross out any ideas that strike you as exceedingly unrealistic or not aligned with your true values or authentic self. In order to evaluate the consequences of each strategy, reflect on how each may positively and negatively impact yourself, others, and your short-term, long-term goals. Write down each of your narrowed down strategies in specific terms and list the positive and negative consequences in 2 columns underneath each strategy. If the best strategy does not become readily apparent to you at this point, try rating the positive and negative consequences for each strategy on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being not too important or significant, and 4 being very important or significant. You can now go through these strategies and add up those scores. The idea is that the most effective strategy is the one with the highest positive or lowest negative consequence score. Step 6. Decide on a plan. If you feel at peace and content with the strategy that yielded the greatest positive consequences for yourself and/or others and your short-term, long-term goals, carry this knowledge and confidence with you to the final step of this problem-solving process. And finally, Step 7. Evaluate the outcome. How effective was the plan? Does the existing plan need to be revised, or would a new plan be needed to better address the problem? If you are not pleased with the outcome, return to Step 2 to select a new option or revise the existing plan and repeat Steps 3 through 6. Not all problems have a perfect solution. Problem solving is about finding options and actions to try to deal with the problem. If you find that you aren't reaching a helpful resolution or plan of action, then maybe what you had first thought was a solvable problem actually isn't. If this occurs, radical acceptance may be the best option. Next week in our peer-guided DBT lessons emotion regulation module, we're going to be riding the waves.